So hey there everyone, how's it going? For about a month now, I have wanted to play through this game, Deathless, for one reason or another. Mostly because, well, I recently bought TV and I wanted to do something else before getting into that game, and also possibly beat Rabi Ribi in the first place, so I can have some kind of continuity. But then I started playing this game before I wanted to do that, so I guess I was stuck doing this for the most of last month or some 2 weeks-ish, I already forgot. The point is, I have been grinding this game over and over until I finally got this run, which admittedly is nowhere near perfect. I know I could have done stuff much better than I could have in this run, but still, I managed to beat the game without losing a single life, and that in itself, in my opinion, or at least, as far as I'm concerned, is a pretty big achievement for me. I have managed to I beat this game multiple times by now, but I always had to use like a continue on like either when I was first starting this game, either on Patchouli or on Remilia. And so in this run, I did not have to do that because I have finally learned my lesson and actually, learned how to fight bosses, which is, I don't know, it's the craziest thing. At any rate, I'm uploading this here, not necessarily as a proof of concept, because I already went over how people could do much better than this run, but just to basically, tell myself that, hey, guy, you did it. You don't have to do this kind of challenge anymore, you could just play this game for fun now, or something like that. Yeah, no, just to tell myself that, I guess. But, you know what? Here we go regardless. Now on to the run itself. As far as stage 1 is concerned, I could have definitely done better. I still have some problems clearing the second screen with, relative ease. I got hit twice by that Kadama, and that I really shouldn't have. However, as far as Channel Fights goes, this one was pretty alright. Not the best I've had, but pretty damn close. Stage 2 is quite uneventful as well. All I have to keep in mind is to wait until I see the second white bird yokai thing. I'm pretty sure it's a yokai, since I could be taking the scenic route by staying at the gondola, but I'd rather go fast and jump off. Another thing of note is I was honestly surprised at how many times I used my summons in this run. Before trying to do this Deathless run, I was barely using them. I was going whip only, basically. And after a while, I realized how crazy useful Marisa and especially Cherno could be. And even on some occasions, amulet shots are not that bad either. This section is hella satisfying and we're able to pull off the triple kill on all 3 bat swarms. And score. And now for a not as satisfying room. Just as a reminder, these spikes are Mega Man levels of lethal, so if you hit them, you're game over. And that would mean the end of this run. Could have I done better there? Absolutely. Was I tired from doing the same motions over and over again? You bet. At this point, my mindset was, if I still have HP, I can still pull this off. Besides, it's like I'm doing like a speedrun or a score attack, so I don't really care how much HP I have left or how much time I lost through some bad, damage. Although I'm not gonna lie, it did make me a bit stressful for this next boss fight coming up. In my opinion, Sakuya 1 is harder to beat than Sakuya 2, although she does have a pretty ridiculous sweet spot. And of course I messed this up. What's supposed to happen is me lowering Sakuya up on the right ledge and her being stuck trying to move downwards to face me after she's done using her card. The whip's hitbox is just high enough that if I do a short hop attack, I'd still be able to hit Sakuya even if I was bonking my head under the platform. And because it's a short hop attack, that means the frequency in which I would be able to hit her is faster as well. Needless to say, this fight was pretty mediocre at best. But at least I was still able to do it. Yo, nice jump. Another thing I want to point out, this enemy placement has to have been deliberate for you to just slide under most everything. Even things you'd think you wouldn't be able to slide under, you probably are able to. I mean, just look at all these segments can just hold down, forward, and repeatedly press jump over and over and over again. Reimu's butt must be sore by now. That spear favor was a good example of an enemy you wouldn't think you'd be able to slide under, but you actually can. I just don't do it here because, well, for one, I'm already used to a different route and that would just throw me off. And second, I think it would just waste time overall for a speedrun setting since you'd still have to, like, you know, take care of the sorcerer and the axe fairy next to her. That last room used to be a hell on earth for me until I realized I could just go behind the sorcerer and just let myself fall down. I used to always go right down the middle, but if you do that, the spear fairies will do an upward thrust attack and will be able to hit you with it. And while it does not do critical hit damage, like the horizontal thrust they do, it still does more damage than just straight up contact damage. Good. Looks like Alice was somewhat kind to me this round. I consider her to be one of the easiest bosses of the game, but sometimes she can just decide to fly upwards and the fight can either take forever or be incredibly hard to dodge. Basically anything. Oh, also, I'm sorry for your loss, Alex. I had to do it to her. Here's something else I want to point out. I understand that the arena or like some kind of battleground is like a staple in Metroidvania games in Symphony of the Night, but why would Remilia need to have an arena in the first place? I did not take her for someone who enjoys gladiatorial fights. This is the only room in the game you will ever see those guillotine, ceiling, axe things. I don't even know what they are. All I know is I hate them and I'm glad it's the only time I get to see them. You have no idea how stressful these kind of room layouts are when you understand that the remake sometimes has a glitch that cancels your short hop whip attacks. It happens way more often than you'd think. Those lycanthropes may look nasty, but when you understand how to dodge them, they're just a minor inconvenience. I waited just a little bit before jumping over her head. If I didn't wait for her to start her animation for her horizontal thrust attack, she would just poke me from underneath. Oh hey, here comes another recurring Castlevania enemy, except this time they're a joke. All you have to do is attack them twice and just slide underneath. Unless you're unlucky like me and you encounter that short hop attack cancel glitch I was talking about earlier. Since there's nothing much happening in these next few rooms, I just want to point out how this game's OST is kick-ass. While this one isn't my favorite at all, I still like it a whole lot. And in fact, the more I listen to these tracks, the more I grow fond of them. The boss music in general is just fantastic, and I can't tell which one I preferred the most between this next fight coming up and Cherno. I say coming up, but we do have a few encounters before we go ahead and meet her. By encounters, I mean like 4 Minotaurs, but they're about as useful as a wall of flesh. And by wall of flesh, I don't mean the Terraria variant. That one's actually scary. Speaking of flesh, look at this pot roast I just found. It's kind of strange that they come in vases rather than walls in this game though. And here comes everyone's favorite drunken Oni, Suika Ibuki. On the topic of Toho characters, I just want to point out something else. I absolutely love the design for most of these characters in this game. Although what they did with Suka is kind of hit or miss. I don't dislike her, it's just I don't like her as much as everyone else. She's still hella cool though. I'm surprised at how quickly I beat her that time. Normally, she takes a lot longer than that. She's not necessarily hard, but she takes a long while to beat. Okay, this is one of my absolute favorite stage coming up. I'm not the best at it, in fact I still need a lot of practice, but the movement you have to do here to be optimal is kind of nice to pull off. Thinking about it, it might be a weird thing to say, perhaps even a bit hypocritical, considering last stage I already mentioned my disdain for tight corridors and them being essentially a perfect opportunity for you to encounter a short hop attack cancel glitch. And yet, even if this presents an additional layer of artificial difficulty, I don't mind it as much. This stage has a lot of health pickups, less so than last stage with all its meat all over the place, but it still provides you with a lot of health pickups, and for the next box coming up, it's completely understandable why they'd want to do that. When you're first learning this stage, these Yoma books are the bane of your existence, but once you realize how to dodge their bullets, they're just more of a fun distraction. You know, saying that out loud makes me realize this is the case with most enemies in this game. Huh. This is the part where I realize I'm not talking much about the individual movement techniques I do for every stage, but I really hope you can see how this game would be really fun to speedrun. Sure, some stages can just be boiled down to how fast can you hold down, forward, and press jump for like 20 seconds, but on stages like this, there's so much more to consider, and it sometimes becomes extremely precise. I should not have gotten hit there, and now this fight has become 10 times scarier. Oh, even scarier. Oh, never mind. I was half joking there. This fight can actually get scary. She has so many moves that does critical hit damage, it's kind of insane. Any Bloody Tears fans out there? If there are any, you're about to eat your heart out, because this stage's music is about to go places. Oh yeah, here we go now. And of course, the first thing I do after this epic drop is get hit by an axe. Great. But for real though, I'm going to shut up for the rest of this stage, because this music is just too good. Since this is where the song loops, I'm just going to go ahead and start talking now. First thing I want to mention is this stage is easily the scariest in the Deathless run. There are so many areas that can instantly kill you, the rotating spikes are doing critical hits, and the enemy placement is just mean at times. Not to mention, the plated skeletons are the scariest of them all. If they do their rush attack, they hold their shield up and it makes them impervious to any kind of damage. You can tell where this is going with the fact that the remake also has this stupid glitch. I cannot tell you how many times I was sure I could have gotten a free kill off of them, and turns out I just take critical hit damage because my attack just decides to not happen. This room, okay. If you wanted to be cheap, you could just fly over everything in this segment, but there's a catch. There's this one enemy in stage 2, and this is the only other area it reappears in, the red Kadama. Essentially, this enemy acts like a sentry where if it sees you, it will chase you ruthlessly until you inevitably fall down to a pit. They take full advantage of you being in flight mode, and when you get hit during flight, you cannot reactivate it until you hit the ground. And because you're probably over a pit at that point, it will basically lead to an instant death. At any rate, this is the second encounter you have against Sakuya, and this time she's actually easier. Don't get me wrong, her pattern is scarier, and actually she deals more damage also. But all you need to do is just do the tiniest movements while flying in the air and you'll be aces. I did mess up a bit at the end, but the point still stands. All you need to do is watch how much HP I have left after this fight, and that says a lot. This is what it all comes down to, the final stage of the game. But not before I go up to her attic and steal all the souls she kept there. Oh, and a pointless 1-up also, for good measure. I don't know whose idea it was to have the 1-up icon be a Yukari, but whoever you are the fucking best. Going back to what I said very early in this run, I am pleasantly surprised at how much these summons have helped me throughout these fights, especially Cherno, and honestly Suka helps a lot too. I honestly had no idea how much I needed a holy water type item in this game until I started doing this challenge, and boy did that help. Yo, Remilia, you wanna come down here a sec? Pretty please? Needless to say, that was a pretty poor pattern for this fight, and honestly, I was despairing at this point. I did not think I would be able to do this run deathless, and I would have to wait for perhaps another day. Believe it or not, mailing 2 is actually really scary in a deathless setting. Just the fact that you cover so much space with the bullets all over the place just denies so many movement options that I just don't know where to go most of the time. Gatekeeper down, 3 more bosses to go. Like I said in the library stage, the only thing scary about Patchouli is the amount of critical hits she's able to do to you, but if you know how to dodge them, she's a piece of cake. Ooh, just barely. Sakuya 3 has to be her scariest iteration, but notice how low the HP bar was for the entirety of this boss rush. All you have to do is beat her before she uses a card. I'll keep quiet for this part. Misted Amnesia is a good song. I cannot tell you how hard my heart was pounding when I managed to get that last hit in. But hey, you know what this means? I finally managed to beat this game deathless. Sure, it did take me longer to do than I expected, or that I even wanted, but I still managed to do it in the end. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all in the next challenge.